Okay, it says we're live, so we're out in the printer / train room. Sorry for the tubes being right in your way, but I'm working with the MMU, so I'll move the camera around a little bit. Anyway, I've got the laptop plugged in over there to the box. They just came out with a new 3.4.2. So I'm going to go on to the website and download that, and we're going to reflash the firmware. Printing, printers, Prusa. So I've got the MMU2 hooked up, and I'm sorry I'm not watching the screen right now, but there it is. But what I'm finding is that I'm getting misfeeds. Here's the latest print. It laid down a few layers and it was going okay, and then it just stopped. And it comes up with a message, says MMU2's having trouble, you need to fix it. And I tried fixing it. I've done this. This is about the 4th time on this print, and it's just not happy. So what I had fiddled around, and I thought I solved the problem. And what I thought it was, now this doesn't have a Bowden tube in it, but so this is the filament feeder that Prusa sends, and when the filament backs up to unload, it's supposed to cock that arm, and then this, because of this angle, and this is a tight fit around the filament, this tube, the one with the tube in it, will pivot around, and then it'll push out a loop like so. It gets pretty big, and then when it gets ready to reload, it pulls it back in and straightens it out. But what I was finding was that even just pulling on this, there's quite a bit of friction there. And when it's printing with it like that, you can hear the filament squeaking. It kind of creaks and makes a noise as it pulls on this, because these two don't line up perfectly straight. And you got to remember, this has a tube stuck in it, so it's creating a little S-bend in there. And that, I think, was causing some of the problem. I also had, I had taken the extruder cover off so I could reload and do the calibration for all the individual feeders up in the MMU assembly. And I thought I had it fixed, but apparently not, because it quit again. Now, the other thing that I think is happening is, if you look at the spool holders, so they're fine. So it rolls, the spools roll on these little rods down in here, and that's fine when the spool's full. But as the filament starts pulling off closer and closer to the core, it's putting more load, and there's more of an angle here. I mean, it's not bad, but I think all of these, the friction from this rolling on such tiny rods may be contributing to it. May not be causing it, but may be contributing to it. And I'm wondering if, when I'm setting this up for calibration, if those feeder rollers are slipping, and that's causing me to get miscalibration for the loading length, and then it fails during the print because it's either pulling it back too much or whatever. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the firmware. I'm going to recheck the Finda sensor and make sure that that's right. See if the light turns on when it's supposed to and shuts off when it's supposed to. If I push this through here, I mean, this doesn't, there's not a lot of friction coming through. Where the heck is it? It should be coming through there right now. Yeah, there it is. Oops, kind of wandered off, but anyway. I mean, it's got a little bit of friction. Of course, it's wandered off on the wrong side of the shaft there, because it would be coming straight out. And that's fairly hard to pull, even just up through the tube. It's got a bit of resistance there. I've checked all the filaments to make sure they're on size and that sort of stuff. But anyway, if anybody has any ideas, we'll be going through it and we'll see what happens here. Okay, so I'm going to step away from watching chat for a minute. I'm going to download the firmware, and we'll be right back. Let me stick that, whoops. Stick that in, oh, come on. Stick that in a separate window. It just won't do it with it on top of there. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now I can kind of keep an eye on chat while I download here. So let's go to software, firmware manuals. Download the new driver app. And it says I don't have to, it says it's firmware's 3.4.1, so maybe it's just the new Slick 3R that downloaded. We'll download that and install it. So I guess I don't have to update the firmware because I am already on 3.4.1. Yeah, 3.4.1. Okay. So one thing I did find out last night was I was having problems. Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay. I was having problems. Every time I printed on the Mark III, it would come up with a flow setting of 95. Network error. Okay. I'm going to try this again. Anyway, it kept setting the flow. Hey, Mike. NLTMW in the house. It kept setting the flow setting to 95 on the printer. And I could not figure out because of my extrusion multiplier in the filament area was set to 1. I didn't see it anywhere as a setting that I could access in the Slick 3R software. And so I asked on the Facebook forum, and somebody pointed out that there's a if-then conditional statement in the start G code that sets your extrusion or your flow rate to 95. Why? Why would you? I don't understand why you would do that unless it's a specific case. Why would you ship software from there straight from Prusa like that? Okay, what is going on? I just downloaded this on the. Let's cancel that. Oops. Let's try resuming that one. Oh, that one was canceled. Okay. Oh. Well, maybe it'll go. Let's see. We'll see if it happens. Hey, Mike, what's up? I'm watching you. You're watching you on watching me. It's just me and you here. Sorry, Mike. Okay, let's go back to the setup. Yeah, we want it in English. Supposedly, this new version of the slicer adds in customizable supports. What else does it say? Ready to install. Improve quality of support, multi-material fixed and improvements, bug fixes, see full changelog. What else is back there? Custom support, support blocker, and enforcer modifier meshes. Cool. So yeah, there's been a whole lot of failing going on out here. I was printing on the 2.5 over here. I was printing a Moroku staff, the head for the Moroku staff from the anime Inuyasha for my son for his costume, because his whole family's going as characters from Inuyasha. And I was trying to use up these the last little bit of these rolls of IC3D gray, because I had 6 rolls of it that are all down to their last little bits. And but I went and took a nap for 2 hours and had my wife wake me up. I came out here, was fiddling with the MMU2 while it was printing, because it was the other roll was just about that far away. And as I'm working over there, I hear it's printing away, and I hear crack. Look over just in time to see the nozzle slam into the part, and didn't knock it off of the print bed, actually broke it about 6 millimeters above the print bed. So that was fun. So we had a little bit, and then I dropped it on the ground, and it broke into 3 more pieces. Yeah, it was a day. It was a morning this morning. And we don't want to open the tutorials. We don't want to open the sample models. We'll finish that. Okay, I don't need to do the firmware. Don't need to do that. We can close the Prusa site. There we are, back to watching ourselves on ourselves. Let's go here. You know, that's one thing I just love about Windows is consistency. Because sometimes it says recently added here. Now it just says most used, and the recently added isn't there. Oh. It's got to be in Prusa 3D. Slick 3R PE. Blah, 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 blah. Sure. 0.32 and MK3 firmware versions. Okay. So if I go to the stock, yeah, yeah, consistency is exactly what comes to mind when you think of Microsoft. Let's do something random and hide this shit from them. Okay. If you go to the stock Prusa MMU2 and you go to custom G code, let me make this big. Hey, Mike Bondi. Let's see here. I'm going to cover up my screen, but I can still see the chat over there. I'm going to move it over a smidge, make it bigger. Yeah, consistently crashing, that's for sure. All right. So if you're looking in the original Prusa, the stock G code profile that comes with click 3R, and you go all the way down to the bottom. This M221, S whatever, blah, 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 blah. This 95 right here will set your extrusion, your flow rate to 95. Go figure. So, but now here's the one thing that I find annoying. If you find something stupid like this in Prusa's settings, because these are factory settings, and you try to save it because you fixed it, you can't overwrite a system profile. So we're not going to worry about that because I have my MMU profile. Nah, yeah, discard. Yeah, sure. So if I go into mine, go all the way down. I just changed, well, it was changed, but now that the factory profile is updated, apparently it didn't change. Oh, no, I changed it in the house. I haven't changed it on this one. Okay. So that is one thing. That's the one thing I'm going to change here in that part. And then down here, probably not as necessary for the MMU setup, but I added this. Normally it just says, I think it just says layer Z height, layer Z or layer number. I can't remember which it was. Anyway, I added layer, square bracket, layer num, square bracket equals, and then layer Z, and then add millimeter. And then I can search on that to figure out where to put an M600 if you were doing manual filament swaps, which I'll still use on the 2.5. But anyway, we're going to save this off because we made that change. Now I'm going to go look at the my 2.5 profile. See, and it doesn't have all that conditional junk. It's just a really short, clean little G code. And just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to load up. See the regular MK3 profile doesn't have a bunch of crazy conditional programming in the G code. So we're good there. So we'll load up that. All right, so now that I got that up, let's make sure we'll unpin that and then repin that so that it's always there. We can minimize that. Okay. So I wish I had a way. To measure how much force is required to pull that through. Because it's not insignificant. And that is not even going through. I mean, we're not even trying to pull this. I mean, I've got loop slack here. So we're not even trying to pull it off of the spool. And if I pull here, it seems pretty okay. I mean, it's pretty freely moving. It's a little bit more draggy once I start rolling the spool. Actually, a fair bit. Yeah, fishing weight scale. I don't have one of those because I'm not a fisherman. I catch crabs and dig for clams, but I'm not a fisherman. I should go get one. I have oscilloscopes. I have ham radios. I have a regular scale, but I don't have a fishing scale. And I took a gander, just looking. I took this off. Let's do that because why the heck not? So I'll aim it up this way. So what I'm doing is taking off the orange Bowden tube, okay, and slide your filament through that, and it's nice, you know, fairly free. So most of the friction is either from this Bowden tube, you know, it's a fairly long Bowden tube, or it's from the little tubes inside. It's not rubbing on the gears because the gears are lined up over here, and so it's just freely passing through there. And maybe this Bowden tube's pinched somehow in this little arm thing. I mean, it is tight. Let's see if I can push number 3 up through there. This is the white filament. So far I've been, now this one versus this one's about twice as hard. The red one, which is on channel number 5, is about twice as hard to pull. But you notice how this, can you see that? So this has a pretty good curl to the filament, and the white one is pretty straight. Yeah, I can swap them around. I'll pull it out and we'll swap it around. Let me move you back out of the way, because otherwise I'm just going to knock the camera as I try and do this. So let's pull this out of here. And you brought up a good point there. Other Mike. So we got Mike and Mike. Let me grab my calipers and double check that filament diameter. So this, I mean, this is the section we were pulling through there. It's a little big, 1.77 to 1.78, 1.75, 1.75. This is so weird watching the numbers on they're backwards on my camera. So it's this is a little big, but this Bowden tube should not be that tight on there. Let's let me pull out now this white roll is Prusa. Well, it is Prusa. It's what came with the MK2.5, or it came with my Mark II. Maybe it came with my, yeah, I think this came with my Mark II. So I guess this would be Filamentum before Prusa got their lines up. Yeah, Mike's about the same. 1.75 if I push a little harder. Yeah, I mean, it should slide right through there. But now that's the other thing is, so this has, it's pretty curly, you know, right? And this is about the same curly, because I know that, like, I've got a roll of, what is this? This is called Peak Green. This is from one of the printers at work. And look at how, look at the diameter of this roll, how tight that is wound down at the bottom of there. So this stuff, I've had problems just feeding it off of the regular Mark 2.5 spool holder that's up above, because this stuff, as you're trying to pull it off of here and trying to get it to straighten out, it'll just snap. It's way, you know, that is way too much of a tight diameter. And even so I made these little spools. They're a little bit bigger than this spool. And what I made these for was the $5 filament. You remember these guys? So I made a little spool because these little 3D printed things, one, you can't stick them on a spool holder, and two, the little arms always break off. So I made myself a little spool that you could put those things on and print with them. But yeah, that's why I don't like tiny spools. They're just wound too tight, and they're fine if you use them when you first get them and use them up. But if you, like me, I bought a whole batch of these just so that I would have colors for accents for doing color changes on prints for text or, whatever, names, whoever, something like that. And so they've been hanging around for a year. So let's try, let me pull this gold out of here. Well, let me shove the gold through first. And let's check how much tension it has. Ugh. Yeah, so when you're pulling the loop out, it's not too bad. I mean, it's stiff, but as soon as it starts pulling on that spool, it goes up by at least 50%. So let's pull that out of there. Now this number 5 tube, I did notice it has a little pinch on it because I probably squeezed it with some pliers or something. We're going to try the red filament in tube number 3, which is the white one, which had a very easy pull on it. We'll see what we get. It goes through there, and I've been fiddling around. I added oil to these things. Whoops. Maybe it's just the stiffness of the filament, because maybe the white's a little softer. Could be. It's still pretty stiff in there. Must just be the size of the tube. I don't know. I'm hesitant to cut the tubes. Oh, does the spool run free when I turn it, or is there drag? There's drag. I mean, there's always going to be drag. So, Mr. Bondi, if you look at this, they're riding on the rim of the spool, and then they're on these little teeny rollers. So if you think, and like I said, I got successful prints off the MMU2 when I was using full spools on here. But as soon as I switched to the like this one, as soon as I switched to a spool that was almost empty, I mean, that one's like 70-80% used up. Now you've got a multiplication. You're pulling on the center and you're trying to spin the rim on those tiny rollers. And yeah, that's what I think too. The shafts are too small, but these are what Prusa ships with the MMU2. So really, I just wanted to kind of fiddle around here. What I was going to do was, instead of running them through these, because that's the other one, I don't know if you saw it, these arms, which are meant to prevent pushback and unspooling on the roll, so that cants over as you push it back, and it causes so it forms a break and causes the filament to make a loop out here so that it doesn't back your spool up and wind it out off the side. But this adds a little bit of friction. I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's not free. It's not a free movement. There is drag on it. So between the drag on the tube, the drag here in the arms, the extra drag trying to roll this thing, I have a feeling that's causing just too much drag. And this filament feeder, the MMU2, the frame is sprung. So as the filament comes through, there's the bearing rollers, and this frame will ride up and flex and put pressure with the springs that are on these long screws up here. So I'm going to try just recalibrating this, not using these arms, not putting the tubes into the into these brake arm, the arm pieces, and see if that maybe lets it free spool a little bit easier, because that doesn't feel any freer there than what it was. And if this doesn't work, then I've got to take it all apart, and I'll have to take the tubes out here and try it with no tubes. We'll just let it free hang and see if I can get it to go. Like I said, the crazy thing is, once I put it together the first time, I started it and got good prints off of it. Then I had a couple failures, and I recalibrated everything, and it may be because I moved it from out on the garage table where I was putting everything together to in here, and maybe I misaligned something, but I recalibrated it, and maybe because I didn't realize the drag was wrong, and yeah, so you're saying that you tried them all and you have to make a reel holder that allows you to run the outside of the reels on the bearings. Yeah, well, the other thing is, rather than run it on the outside of the reel, so I have these holders, although they're too small for the Prusa, and they're too small for this filament. So this takes bearings, go in here, and it rides on the hub. And this is very, very free rolling. It just takes a 3/8 bolt through the middle, and you set it on there. I don't like this because you got to take this off. This is a separate piece. It would be nice if this was attached to an arm and had some more features, so I'll probably redesign that. But just to test this and get this right, get this working, I want to try and make this all as free rolling as possible. So, and I have another one that I made. Yeah, that's a little bit bigger, a little wider. Same thing. Put my bearings in there. And this rolls really well. But the problem is, I designed it for one specific size spool. Fits the Protopasta ones really good. And it fits the inland spools real good. It will not fit the Prusa spool. Probably won't fit well, it'll fit this Alchemint, this gold Alchemint spool. But yeah, I didn't design it with enough flexibility to be able to fit a lot of spools. So That was a mistake. Anyway, we'll revamp that. But let's get this. Let me pull this apart, and I'll set up a different system here. So I do have a third option, and I'll show that to you here. We'll try that. It's not quite as, it's not got bearings in it, but it's fairly free rolling. Let's try this first. Let's get this out of the way. Get these out of the way. Just rolling it like this, it doesn't feel bad at all. But by the time you get all this other junk in between here and there, it all adds up. So many spools, so many adapters, yes. Oh, and why are you? Yeah, you're not supposed to be stuck. Okay. Oh no, this Prusa silver is what came with the MK2. The white must have came with my MK3. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, we'll pull all that out of there. Yep, what I just dropped. Calipers. Okay. So I have another spool holder. It's pretty inconvenient, but it does support the spools by the hole in the middle, and they do roll. I mean, it does roll pretty easy. You know, that one's okay. It's just a pain in the butt to load. Anyway, let's put the white on here. And we'll put this red on here. Yeah, can you imagine loading this with 5 spools? No, I didn't think so. Let's shove the white into channel 5 and see how much drag. Ooh, there is a tight. Maybe that is just that tube. No. It's got to be that red filament is a little bit stiffer or something. We'll put the red in number 3, which is what the white was in. Yeah, it's so part of it is maybe I've got those screws too tight right there at the there's a mount right here that holds the tubes into place. Maybe I got that cinched down a little too. Yeah. So when I get right here to this point where it starts to go through this little keeper, I can feel that it gets a lot tighter. But you'd think they would have sized that right. But, well, we'll loosen this up a little bit. So these tubes go all the way up to the back, or where the rollers are, I think. Yeah. Pretty sure they do. Yeah, they're in there quite a ways. And maybe I did just pinch them or kink them. I see a little kink in that one. Let's pull that out. Oh, there is a pretty good kink in there. Unplug you. So, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So this is number 5. And you can see how it's got a bend here and there's a kink right there. Actually, it looks like it necks down right there. Right in here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to cut it a little bit. I don't have a proper set of PTFE tube cutters. Well, since we're doing the one, let's pull all of them out of there. Because why not? Let's, well, yeah, they're all kind of kinked and bunchy. Okay. Yeah, you can, yeah. All of them have this little kink. This one is the only one that feels, you probably can't see that, but it looks like it's, like it got stretched, like it necks down right there. Okay, so I think just X-Acto knife will probably do it. Be better than crushing it with a set of cutters. I'll kind of cut equal amounts off of each one, or pretty close. And try and keep them square. To the end. Okay, just feeling all the way along. That feels okay. Okay. Save the little chunks. I don't know what I ever use them for, but let's try the red. Yeah, this is why they put that crazy filament holder on there. Yeah, we're going to try this filament, which was giving us the most problems on each of them. Sorry, I kind of discombobulated your camera there, giving you the drunken sailor look. Okay. So that's reasonable. That's pretty freely moving. Definitely a lot better than what it was. How do you stack these things and not have them fly everywhere? Okay. Next. And that feels very reasonable. Yeah, so probably what I have to do is try this with just the filaments sitting on this rod. Probably recalibrate everything. And I'll probably just use the red filament to recalibrate everything. Just load and unload it. Now that come on, focus. Yeah, still has a little kink in it. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll get rid of that one. Cut some more off of that one. I don't know that it matters that they be, you know, all exactly the same length, but I don't like that little bend. Yeah, that little, wow. Yeah, that little kind of thing going on. That is not good. That off and get rid of that. Okay, looking at the rest of them. That's all right. Do this last one. Yeah, I mean, it goes through the tube really, really, really nice. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now, before I get putting everything back together, let's look at each of the channels in the... Oh, that is just... Yeah, no problem. No problem on there. Yeah, no. Nope. Well, of course, I don't have the tubes up in here, so it's going to be a little finicky to get. There's a little PTFE tube on the other side that this has to line up with, and it may be a little finicky getting through there, or maybe running into that. Yeah, I probably am. Let's see. Yep, that was it. Okay. So that works okay. So now let's put all these little guys back in and try not to kink or bend them. I like to try and get all the curls kind of consistent. sort of, although they're not being very cooperative about that. So first, let's put the last one in. That'll kind of hold it open for the rest of the guys. Make sure they're getting in there equal amounts. Okay. I'll give this guy a little bit of a shave. So sometimes what happens is you get a little bit of a flare on that edge that you cut, and I just taken very, very lightly chamfer that. I mean, you just want a 0.5 millimeter, a 0.2, just enough to take it so when you feel it, when you rub your thumb on it, you can't feel a little ridge. Make it nice and smooth to go in there. Come on. This is not going in all the way. Okay. There we go. Okay. So let's twist these guys around so they kind of all face the same direction a little bit. Just makes them a little easier to wrangle. We'll just snug this down even. Okay. All right. You use a drill bit to make the other ends. Oh, I don't know that it's so this roll of red I've had for a year, and it's not great filament. I'll tell you that right now. It needs a higher temperature to print than what all the other filaments do. It strings a lot. It's consistent color quality. Okay. I'm looking up through there to see if we're hitting the, okay. Yeah. So I don't think the Prusament is going to have these kind of issues, but Try cutting off. Yeah, I'm going to cut it off. It was cut off. It just does not like that. It was cut off, but it's got a little bit of a hairy end there. So we'll cut it off again. And I've found that if you make it too steep, like you almost want to cut it out at a 45, because if you make it too pointy, it just seems to want to hang up on everything. Now I'm going to put this in channel 1 or 3. And we'll try that. Okay. And I don't think I got those up in there all the way. That's what I think, is that my tubes slipped back down. Because I think they're actually supposed to push up into the MMU2 body. I think there's a little hole that they go up into, if I remember right. So let's pull this back. Yeah, let's go. Let me chamfer all of these, because that's probably what is causing some problems here. So I'm just barely going to chamfer that leading edge to help it go up into that hole inside there. Let's see if that worked. All right. I may end up pulling this further apart, but we'll try it this way. See if I can get it. All of you guys back out of there. Pull you out of there. Yeah, there's a little hole at the top that this is supposed to go into. I'm going to chamfer both ends in case I decide to use the crazy arms again. Just make it a little bit easier to push those in there. All right. Yeah. All right. So this is supposed to go into that hole. Yeah, now I know why there was a kink in them. Okay. Yay, one's done. And I know one thing you don't want to do is let these PTFE little pieces get down inside the tube or be in the channel where they can get pushed all the way down to the hot end. So that would not be good. Okay. Number 2. I know this is just a riveting stream, right, guys? Well, at least I'm over my cold. I'm not sniffling anymore. That's a good thing. That makes it a better stream than the last one. I think I'm going to need some rum after this, though. Because if this doesn't work, pretty much out of ideas on how to get this thing working. You know, I want it to be consistent. It works, it's just not consistent. And that's the hallmark of the Prusa, is you throw something at it and you're pretty much guaranteed it's going to come out. That's why I like it so much. And I may be a fanboy, but I appreciate quality engineering. Not that I've seen, you know, I don't have a vast amount of experience with other printers. But what I do see here is that they care about their stuff and they take your criticisms very seriously, and you know, work on correcting the flaws and let you know about what the fix is. Where I don't know that I see that from ANET or Huni or Zone Star. Zone Star just changes the model number or the name of the printer and continues to sell the same thing. I don't think they do any upgrades. Let's go this way. Okay. It's pretty close. We got one more to go. You guys could be watching some quality scenery building on a different channel, I'm sure, for model railroads. And if you came here for model railroading, I'm sorry, I'm distracted by 3D printers right now. But I will get back to my model railroads. Don't you worry about it. Hey, whatever maker. Cool. Howdy. All right. Yeah, that one kind of curves that way. Put it in there. This way. Okay. I think those are all up in there. Yep. And this goes in. This was a lot easier when it was not mounted on the machine. Let's just get one screw kind of lined up and started. All right. Oh, come on. Fat fingers. There we go. And we're not going to tighten them all down. We're just going to get them to where they're all keeping the tubes where they're supposed to be. And we'll gently work our way back and forth. Until I can see the crack has closed up down here. It doesn't really need to be super tight. I mean, it's just holding the tubes in place. I don't think I'm going to trip over them and yoink one loose. But you don't want them slipping out if you're transporting the thing somewhere. Okay. All right, let's try this red filament in. Now we've mixed all the tubes up. Don't tighten the screws into the tubes. That can mess them up for you. Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see. Let's try 5. I mean, they're supposed to be tight, snug, not cinched, but snug. You don't want to pinch the tubes. Well, that went right through. Let's try this one. All right, maybe we will back those off a little bit. It's I mean, I don't want them sloppy, but we'll back that off a smidge, half a turn. That one may not go through because I'm lined up and running into things. Right, number 3. That goes right through. Yeah, that one was, number 4 was blocked, so number 2 is probably blocked. I'll have to move the selector over. Okay, let's move the selector all the way over. Then we can get 2. Oh yeah, plenty good. And number 4. Oh, plenty fine. Okay, so let's put the red in number 3. We're just going to go with this crazy spool holder setup. Get that up there. Oops. Let me revamp this a little bit. Go around that way. 3 will be red. And number 5 will be white. And we'll cut this one off. All right. Garbage can. Okay, it's right there, ready to be loaded. All right, let me swivel this around, and then we'll get you guys set up there. Toothbrush in the way, whatever else in the way. All right, right about like that. Make sure I'm not setting on any tubes. Let me hit preheat, PLA. Let's do this and scrape that off. The little shoes, even with a flex plate, the little shoes are not quite long enough to pop off. Come on. Purge block is. So this is 3D fill. Oh, let me get this cleaned off and set up here. Got tennis shoes going everywhere. All right. Build plate back on. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to get you into a place where you can actually see the screen while I'm doing all this, but what I'm going to do is load filament, load number 3, which is the red. Push it up in there. Okay. Oh. Did I not? I don't think I did that. All right. may have screwed up there. Let me get back. Okay. Let's hit reset because I didn't. Didn't do that right. So I still got my tube loose. I am going to open the extruder. And make sure that the calibration's right, at least on the two that we're using. Okay. Take out the little doohickey. Why are you so belligerent every time? There it goes. Just a little catch right there. Okay. All right, let's hit load filament. Load number 3. Okay, that's loaded. Let's hit load 5. Okay, that's loaded. All right, now we got to go into the super secret double probation whatever menu, the service menu. So I hold reset and hit it and release reset and keep holding the button. Okay, so now we hit the left one till that one lights up. And then we hit 2. Nope, whoops. Hit that one. And we're going to go to number 3. And we're going to hook up our tube, because this is where calibrating the Bowden tube here. And let's see how it does with no friction from all the crazy arms and whatnot. So I could come down 2 more clicks. Maybe 3, 4 more clicks. We'll retract that. And we'll reload that. Sure it goes back to the same spot. So I don't know if you guys have done this yet, but get you down here where you can see. Kind of can see. Maybe. Can you see back in here? So my filament's all the way down here. It's just just above the tube. And what we're shooting for is to have that right in the middle of the drive gears. So I'm going to hit the buttons to pull it back a little ways, and we'll try to check it again. All right, so we'll bring it forward. Oh, it's not liking that. It's having trouble feeding. Either that or it's having trouble detecting, which I thought this little thing was supposed to either light up or not light up. The Finda. Depending on whether there was something there or not. Let's see if it does. I cannot see it from where I'm at. Let's put you guys up there. You guys can watch for it. Let's see if you can see it. So right up there is the Finda. And I can't really, well, I can get a little bit higher. Yeah, and so I take a piece of filament and push it back. I am not seeing a light or nothing. So maybe this is part of the problem. I mean, that's tight. But I don't see a light on there. You guys don't see a light on there. And they said back it up a quarter turn. So that's what I did. A little bit more. Maybe it's binding up in that. I can hear the ball. The ball's moving freely. So that's good. All right, let's put this back on. And let's see if we can get this to load. All right, push this up. Hit the go button. Okay. I got a yellow-green light. That's not good. All right. Let's back the fender up another little bit. No, maybe it's too loose, too far out. No. All right. I'm not sure what's going on here. I may have screwed up and put it into some weird mode here. Let's see. Let's try. Oh, I can see the filament's all chewed up. Nothing down in there. Okay. Let's retract that. Okay, let's put the tube back in. All right, what's going on? Doing the dishes. All right. No, glad you're not watching you, huh? Okay. You may right now, yeah. Don't tighten the tooth. Okay. So, well, you know, maybe we'll all learn something together. I don't know. Or maybe we'll just be frustrated. All right. So let's push that in. Okay, that looks good for the position. And it retracts fine. All right, so now we're going to go to number 5, the white. And we'll hit it. Ooh, way too far. Okay. Retract that. I'm going to put another spool on here. And then I'll go ahead while we're here doing, we may as well calibrate all of them. Okay, we'll put that back in again. And back it up. 2 more. Well, what do I got? I don't know if that's a good spot for you guys to be watching. You're learning. Oh, cool. Yeah, well, like I said, yours may work better than mine. I don't know what you're going to see here, but let's put this other spool on the end of this, and then we can adjust and calibrate everybody while we're in here calibrating while we got the door open and things are going crazy. All right. So let me set you back over there. How's that? Good? And you can kind of see what's going on. All right, so I'm going to put it in one more time. That's perfect. Okay, take it back out. And then we'll go to number 4. All right. Number 4. Yeah, so probably with all that friction on there, it was probably slipping a little bit. And that meant my calibration for the load unload was off. And that meant that it would fail in the middle. All right, so that was the Allen wrench. Which I will need in a little bit. Okay, but let's hit the button. Push it in. Are you going? No. It's going. Okay, I'm going to eject it before I adjust anything. Unload. And then I'm going to reload. Make sure I got a green light up there. And we'll go a little bit longer on that one. All right, there. Unload. Green light. Reload it. I'm going to go 2 more ticks. Unload. Reload it again, just to make sure. Okay, perfect. So we did 4. We may as well go do 3. I mean 2. There's 3. There's 2. Tube number 2. Oops. All right. Middle button. Oops. Did it not go? Probably not. Gotta hold it for a little bit. There it goes. down. So what we're doing is oh, you like this? Okay, good. Yeah, so we're loading. I load it, unload it, so it kind of stabilizes, and then I'll load it again, make an adjustment. You use the right button to make it go in less, make it go left button to make it go in more, and then I'll unload it and unload it and reload it a couple more times and make sure it's good, and then move to the next one. So now we're going to number 1 because that one was good. So we'll go to number 1. Gimme. Tube number 1. So stick him up in there. Yeah, this is much freer flowing, pulling. Okay. All right. Ooh, too far. Yeah, so if that's what I was thinking, is this was grinding. And when you do a filament load, unload within the program, you'll hear it feed up to the extruder, and then it'll go, and you're grinding a little bit of filament at that point. Green light. Let's load it again. And I also think that maybe that has something to do with failures too, because then I'm getting little bits of filament up in the feeder. Now that did not feed far enough. Let's try that again. Yep. Wait for the green light, and we'll try again. Put it back in. And really what you should do is do this calibration, 1 through 5 is what I'm doing. And then exit the service menu, go back into the service menu, and recheck them all. If you want to. I'm going to not, because, I'm a risk taker. So we move the selector all the way over as far as it will go. And it starts rapid flashing. We press the middle button to tell it we're happy with where everything is. Okay. Now, last thing, don't forget to put your extruder back together. Ask me how I know. So yeah, put the screws back in the extruder. Set the tension right. Just below flush. Put the little hat back on. Okay. way later than, oh yeah, even if you had it now, it'd still be in the box. Yeah. You'll like it once it gets here. I'm pretty sure they'll have more firmware updates and all that sort of jazz by the time yours gets here. Seems to be quite a few things to fix. All right. Or at least make better. There is some other software, some other firmware that somebody was showing me on YouTube. It's by Zero Beast. And it makes the thing move really quickly, but I don't think it fully integrates with the existing Prusa firmware, filament detection, etc., etc. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slice. Oh, look at that. It's going to be a 2-color fill. Yep. And we're going to make him so his body, face plate will be number 5. What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so they changed something in here. Used to be, you just come in here and oh, I see. It's because I got it shrunk down. Ah, there it is. Okay, so you just come in here and pick which extruder you want for that. Okay, so number 5 for the faceplate, all the green parts, and then body is going to be extruder number 3, and say okay. And then I'm going to scale him. Oops. Scale him. We'll try 50%. And we're going to make 2 of them. And then hit arrange. And so far, I don't know if they've changed it or not, but I have not been able to get 3MF files to work. And we don't want that. We want our print settings to be the 2mm fast, 6, 3 perimeters. Infill is that. No skirt and brim. Well, 3 loops, no brim. Speeds, whatever. Go to our filament settings. We don't want that. We want Prusa PLA MMU2. So it's 215 and 215. And all of that stuff. Okay. Got the right printer. Okay, so plater. Go to slice now. And this may cause the stream to go haywire. Of course, I've got this plugged in where I should be plugging in the... Who buys a laptop without an SD card reader? An SD card reader that can only read... I mean, it's not a native. It's a USB SD card reader. Well, I do. That's who. All right, so let's plug this guy in. So the reason I'm reslicing this is because I was having problems. The 95 flow rate of 95, and it was not keeping my temperatures for the after the first layer. It was going from 215 to 205. Okay, let's get this number one. Get this out of here so we're not tangling up stuff. We have enough problems to troubleshoot without adding more problems ourselves. All right, whoops. Come here now. All right, so we got that sliced. I'll get you guys a little better view. That's a nice view of the power supply, I guarantee you. Where can I set you? Maybe back here? Ish. Kinda. Maybe a little higher. Well, you won't really be able to see filaments being swapped. This is weird. Okay, there we go. Close enough. Heating disabled by safety timer. Okay. That's fine. Preheat PLA, as I was preheating PLA. Print from SD. 2-color fill. Okay. Make sure it doesn't hit anything. Make sure I closed everything. Orange tubes in there. Tubes are in there. Filaments loaded. Door on the extruder's closed. Heat bed, removable bed plates on. I see a piece of. Oh, and if you're wondering, I have glue stick on the bed because PETG. So. Okay, we are loading white. Looks successful. I see red being purged. And let me check the, once it gets off of the purge line, let me check our flow. Flow is at 100. Yay. Okay, so we got that solved. Oh, I may have screwed up here. Did I not put a purge block? I didn't put a purge block. Ah! Why would that not have? Of course. Okay. All right. Well, I'll stop the print. Ah. Yes. Thought I had that set by default, but okay, maybe the new update reset. Oh, this is going to be a pain if it keeps pulling the new settings from Prusa and it affects my settings that I based off that stock profile. That's going to suck. That's really going to suck. Mr. Filament Frenzy will not be happy with that if that happens to him. Me, I don't mind because I'm nobody. But okay, so I sliced it. If I preview it, there is a purge block there. So I'm going to export that G code. Doot. Save it. Yes, overwrite it. The light is flashing. The reason I shrunk these fills down to be only 50% size is it will, well, we don't know if we've got it sorted yet, but we're closer. It only has to print to 2 millimeters before it does its first filament swap, and then it'll swap every single layer for quite a while. Okay, here we go again. All right, heating, do the bed level. So, all right. Well, you have a good one, Mr. Bondi, Mike Bondi. Take care. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching along, keeping me company while I pull my hair out. All right. Let's try this again. Loady, loady. Come on. Looking down in the hole there. Little bit of grindy. Oh, I'll bet you it reset all that stuff too. So I had made some other changes based on somebody's, another mic. No, it kept those changes. It kept my unloading speed and number of cooling moves. Okay, so it didn't reset that stuff. So we'll see how the filament swap goes. Did it say down there that I had changes that needed saving? Print settings, yes, that needs modified. Let's set that. Filament settings, nothing modified. Printer settings, nothing modified. Okay, so must just be that I disabled it for some reason. It was going to do a single color print or something. Now, are we loaded? I am not seeing filament. Okay. Let's try that again. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to stand here and push this a little bit and help it. See if we can get it to load. I don't know why it loaded once and now it's not going to load. That's crazy. Okay, so should go park. Should load my filament. Nope. Okay. It's unloading. Okay, I know what happened. So, down in here, because I aborted the print, yeah, it's grinding. It's stuck, and it's trying to unload it. And now it's grinding on filament. Now I just broke it off. Fortunately, it's just that little thing right there. Okay. All right. I did not like that at all. All right, let's try that one more time. That. Make sure I can. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. Unloading. Okay. Hi there.
Hi.
All right.
Do you have any spacemen yet?
No, we're trying. Okay, I'm preheating. Tightening up the tube. Printing from that. There we go. Yeah.
Hmm.
Is there any pop?
It might be.
Is there any rum?
Nope. That's been gone for days.
Has it? Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe I can get a pop when this gets going here.
I'm going to bed.
All right.
Be quiet and you don't bam doors.
I will make sure I bam extra doors.
Don't bam doors.
I will. See you outside? All right. Well, that was a good fail. That's how my prints go. It kind of starts and then something goes haywire and then it all goes off the rails. Okay. Loady, loady, loady. Okay, the filament's going down through there. It's not coming out. Oh, no. Maybe. All right. So why are you not? Oh, it's going now. Okay. Well, that was exciting. So yeah, we changed some parameters on the cooling. So when it goes to filament change, it's supposed to yard that back and then do 3 cooling dips, take 4 seconds cooling. Because what you get is when you pull the filament back, the end of the filament's going to be all stretchy and soft. So this is Protopasta Matte Orange that I did a cold pull on. And what you want is a nice, not a blob and not a long string hanging off the end for the next time you go to load it. And it's got to make it through all these tubes and all that sort of jazz. So guys on the forum have posted their settings. So this is my first attempt at trying their settings. And I see we missed a layer here. See if it sticks down here on the next pass. Probably won't. Yep. Yeah. All right, we're bailing on it again. Okay. Could be because I touched the build plate or didn't have enough glue on there, whatever. We'll reapply. And before it gets too cold, oh, that's not what I wanted. Stupid menu. Skip down one when I wanted to print a different file. Okay. So since we reset it, we gotta wait for the Calibrator to. Okay, it says it's ready. All right. Okay. What is this? Third or fourth time? Third or fourth time's a charm? We'll see how this goes. Grab that. Well, at least we're going to make sure that the bed's good and level. All right. It's trying to load. It loaded. Yay. That's always a positive thing. So yeah, I've got a whole garbage can with the soles of Commander Phil's feet in there. That's about as far as I got. So if this gets started, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to go design some new spool holders. And then maybe we'll print them and get this thing situated where it works halfway decent. So there's Purge block going down. I don't know. Do you guys like the overhead view, or would you rather be down closer? There. That's good. Okay. Yeah, now you'll be able to see you'll you'll be able to see it as long as it keeps focusing. Oh, Wiley's 3D. Howdy. Okay. Come on, first layer. You can do it. Okay. So far, so good. Ooh, it's looking awesome. Looking like 2 sets of boot prints. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, the lighting's not great in here, but not too bad. A lot of glare off of the print bed. Okay, so we got to get to 2 millimeters. These are 0.2 millimeter, 0.2 layer height. So I think it does, at this height, I think it does 2 little layers of sole, the tread pattern. I think the 3rd layer ties the whole tread pattern together into a sole. And we got six bottom layers, so it's a good amount of infill on the bottom to tie everything together and make it pretty strong. Yeah, so we're on the 0.6 layer already. Looks like it didn't infill all the way. It had a little skip there. But it did grind on the filament, so part of that may be a little, in me monkeying around getting this thing to load. It may have ground up a little bit of filament, so it under extruded that little bit. Keep an eye on it. This layer should be good and solid, I hope. And running full speed. Nope. Not extruding. Check on it here. Yeah, it might have hit a little ground up spot there. That was probably my fault. I should have pulled it all the way out. And there we go. Reset that. Okay. So the bottoms of his boots will probably fall off. It's just not. Does not feel like it's grabbing the filament. Okay, now it's moving. Wow, I thought I had those tightened. Apparently not. All right, let's see what it does this time. Oh yeah, there we go. Now it's extruding like it's supposed to. I thought I had these just below flush, but apparently I didn't. So I squished on them a little bit. And screwed them in. There we go. And that may be part of the problem too. It may be really critical that you get the exact right tension on everything. Okay, that little move that it just did right there means it's getting ready to swap filaments, because that's the pull back, the retract to get it out of the nozzle. Okay, pushing it out. Moving to number 3. Pulling it in. Rapid. Bringing it down through the orange tube. Perfect. Slow feed, fast feed to get it down to the nozzle. Purge in the white. Okay, so now from here on out, it'll do 2 layers of red, then 2 layers of white, and then 2 layers of red, and then 2 layers of white, and purge every single layer in between each. Color change. I think we got like 3 or 4 layers. Oh, I'm sorry. This was just the first color change. It's got 3 or 4 layers. So we're at 2.4 millimeters now. I think we go up to about 3, maybe 4.4. Can't remember what it was. So we're just doing red, just pure red for the first little bit, and then it'll come to his little toe caps and we'll be purging. And then from there up quite a ways, it will purge every layer. And then it will go back to just being just red because of his pant legs. And then from when it comes back into the white again, then it's pretty much every single layer there's a purge and a swap. So yeah, I think having the spools mounted on holders that let it spin through the axis, through the axle part hole, would reduce friction a lot. And what it needs to have is a little short PTFE tube to help guide it, and then the tube that leads to the MMU unit would not be plugged directly in there, because if it was plugged directly in there, then it would force filament back and it unspools. If you leave a gap, so they just come and butt up together, they're tight, it feeds filament through, and when it goes to retract and swap filaments and they push each other apart, but they can't wander very far from each other. Okay, swapping back to white. Oh, guess on this model, guess it was the 75% model. It was about 4 millimeters. This is at 3 millimeters. And we're back to white. I don't know. These are supposed to take 7 hours, 50 minutes to print. Yeah, and see, so in Slicer, I had this set for 215 and 215, first layer for 215, and set all the rest of the layers for 215, and it changed the nozzle temp. So I don't know why that is. Let's go back over here because I still got Slicer open. Yeah, that's infinity mirror. So I mean, here's the Purge PLA MMU2 filament settings. Purge PLA. Oh, are you kidding me? So in my printer settings, no. Maybe I screwed this up. Okay. If I go to the plater, oh, that's why. Okay, so that's why it's not doing it right, is because I didn't pick the right filament from here, because I'm used to using the old one where I just go here and pick the filament. Now I've got to go here and pick the filament for every extruder. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and that means that my advanced settings for cooling did not take effect. So there's 3 and the speeds and all of that sort of stuff. Oh, okay. Well, wow. So let's see. And it does not prompt me for a save to keep those settings, does it? Nope. Not under printer. Not under there. Not under there. So it does not prompt you for that to be saved. Okay. Well, so let's put you back over here where you can see what's going on. That grindy is that. So those extra settings for how it handles the filament changes that I put in there are not going to be in effect on this print. And that may affect how this turns out, whether it completes right or not. Let's see if I can get this here. This around. So, oops, going the wrong way. Going the wrong way. Yeah, right there. How's that? Hey, Fine Vines, DD3D. Welcome. Okay, so let's see if it's still extruding right. So we're learning things, Brian. Learning how the new slicer, MMU, the Slick 3R setup, you have to go in and pick everything for each individual slicer. You can't just pick it for the print anymore. That was my mistake. Recalibrated the MMU unit. We took off the Prusa spool holders because, man, it was creating a lot of drag. Now, we also pulled all the tubes loose from the MMU unit, the feeder tubes, and some of them were pretty kinked. So we trimmed all that off, chamfered them, reseated them, didn't clamp them down so tight, and then recalibrated everything again. And I've made it this high before. We're at 3.6 millimeters and have had it fail as soon as I walked out of the room. So we'll see how it goes. But so far, it's printing. Your MMU2 is still in the box. Well, misery loves company, Brian. Get it out of the box and start turning your hair gray. I mean, you should at least assemble it. The MMU2 is actually fun to build. You know, I mean, it goes together real sweet. They've got great instructions. Yeah, yeah. You know, Brian has more pull than you do, Mike. He's got that Shane guy probably in his pocket. You got to send Haribo to Mr. Shane, and then you get your MMU2 faster. Okay, so, oh, you held off. Well, you know, I almost pulled the trigger on an MMU1, and I am so glad that I didn't. I know that Lauren at Buzz Designs, she used hers and got it working good, but I can only imagine the hours and hours of heartache and headaches that she had to go through to get that working right. Just the amount of tuning. That would it's nuts. Yeah, I wonder if she's getting an MMU2. I know she probably is on the upgrade list to automatically get one or something, maybe. I don't know. I would hope so. But yeah, I was waiting. I mean, I saw Chris Riley and Walter put theirs together. And I saw Chris do a little walkthrough of the calibration, but I haven't really seen too many people, other than the guys that are already modding the thing, haven't seen too many people that have just gone through the basics of getting it up and working and what to look for, kind of things. So, but it is new. I don't know how many there are out there. How many filament swaps is that? It's at least 4 that it's managed to do okay. And just because we have one successful print, that doesn't mean it's going to succeed the next thing we try on it, Until I get to that point where I can trust that it's going to do what I ask of it every single time, yeah, it's going to be a little bit frustrating. And I think people really expect for Prusa to do more of that kind of testing and bug detection in-house, but this is a hobbyist machine. If you want to pay $3,000 for a multi-material unit, then that's probably what I would expect. But for the price of this thing, I think it's well worth it. I think it will work. I think it will work well enough to make people happy. It may not be that way right out of the box, but I think you get it into the hands of enough people and they're going to figure out a way to make this silly thing work. Is that too much glare for you guys, or you want up a little higher or in? I can't really go in a little closer. Well, maybe I could. I could get a little closer. I can do this. I've got this flexi wacky mount. You can fold that over like that. And get you up above the print bed so that I'm not worried about the print bed running into the camera arm. Hey, there we go. That looks, I think that's better, but I can put you back where you were. If you'd like. Really? Have I been streaming for 3 hours already? Is that time right? Holy crud. It's 9 o'clock here. You ordered your MMU2 after you ordered the Palette 2 Pro. Have you gotten your Palette 2 Pro yet, Michael? And how's it working for you? I know you haven't got it yet. I like Commander Phil because my grandson likes spacemen, so probably more than he likes Benchies. Although, if I was to find a multicolor dinosaur, that might become, the 3D printing professor, his low poly dinos. I know he's not doing that anymore as a Kickstarter, but I wonder if he has any dual color ones, or if anybody wants to make some dual color pterodactyls. Huh? 1111. No time to work with anything. Ooh. Well, November. November's not very far away there for getting the P2P Pro or Palette 2 Pro, whatever you want to call it. The P2P. It sounds like a network protocol. Or is that PPP? I can't remember. It's been a long time. I'm old. Okay, we're back up at 215. All right, that's sweet. So it's got red in there. Oh yeah, it purged. Didn't look like it purged for some reason. I mean, I saw it purge, but it looked like it was coming out a little white there as the last loop around the purge tower. Oh, you can try. Well, that's no fair. The only thing I have close is Joel Telling and Protopasta. And that's great and all. But Joel doesn't make 3D printers or 3D printer attachments. All right, we're at 4.6 millimeters. I'm going to look at the slicer. I'm going to run through the layers and tell us when we get to just solid red again. Whoops. Nope. 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 Oh, okay. So I'm not a touch screen kind of guy. Is it 3 fingers? No, that makes it bigger. That makes it smaller. How do I slide things around? Right there. Okay, let's I'm going to preview. Oh, that's because I changed filaments and I did not reslice it. Okay, let's see. So yeah, I like the mosaic. I like the idea of the mosaic. So that looks like 6.2 millimeters. The mosaic's cool, but again, you've got the Keith Tinkers on Twitter has a mosaic palette. Don't know that he has I don't know if he's getting a palette 2 or the palette Pro or 2 Pro, either one of them. But he said it's a lot of tuning and adjusting to get just like this, the loading right, the slicing right, to be able to get a multicolor model out of it. And I don't know how much that changes if you change filament brands. You know, if you're printing with Filamentum one day and then decide to switch over to Inland, do you have to recalibrate that whole thing? Probably do, to a certain extent. All right. Well, like to get up to where it's back to solid red. So I said 6 millimeters. We're at 4.8. So we got another 10 layer, or yeah, 5 layers. No. Yeah, 12 layers. Yes, and my poor MK 2.5 is still rocking the vertical fan. So I haven't printed out the new extruder bits and reworked the whole thing. Because the funny thing was, I did replace all the extruder bits when I upgraded it, because I did the Mark II S and the Mark II 2.5 upgrade all at the same time. And part of that was the extruder needed to be changed. So I got the new cooling nozzle. It's all black. Ew. And you know, black goes faster. So only thing it needs is flames. Got a black knock to it on it, which is sweet. Team Orange. Yeah, I like Team Orange too. I don't mind this all stickers. Stickers make it go faster, yes. Well, I do have the E3D holograms on it, so, you know, that probably adds 3 horsepower right there. I'm just waiting for somebody to come out with a turbo kit and nitrous for their Tesla. You know, that thing ought to just fly down the road. Yeah, the black makes sense on the body where the filament sensor is, which is disabled on the MK3, and I was considering putting the MMU on the 2.5, but I'm glad I put it on the MK3 because my filament sensor for the MK 2.5 has never worked. It's hooked up, but it doesn't work, and so for the new, yeah, well, so Prusa with the 2.5 upgrade sent me a spool of black and a spool of Prusa orange PETG for printing the extruder parts. And I used some of the black, but I didn't use any of the orange. So I got lots of Team Orange stuff to be able to print. Okay, you guys hear that little grinding noise when it shoves the filament through into the extruder gears. And that is one of those settings that I think was in the slicer, and I don't know if it picked it up. Yeah, should have picked it up. So it used to be a -13 on extra loading distance, and I changed it to 0 based on the settings that were on the Facebook group, but it's still grinding. They were saying that the handoffs were much smoother. And so far, I'm not really Not really seeing it, but at least they're completing. It's making the handoff and changing the filament, which is, if it grinds a little bit, as long as it's not clogging up the drive gears, I'll live with that. And you can see I had a little bit of under extrusion there at the beginning. I should have pulled it out and chopped it off after doing all my filament back and forth calibrating, because that does put a bunch of little teeth marks in there. And that may affect your calibration, because I use the gray, but I'm not using any of the filament paths that I use the gray on, so they ought to be pretty close, I think. A smoother grind than the old grind, and yeah. So I'll put it up here while it's doing its thing. So it's retracting. Kind of see stuff happening down below. Moved over. And there it hits the extruder gears. And now move, and you should see the extruder go really fast here in a little bit. I don't know if you can see down in the hole. And right, zoom. Oh, I guess it already did it. Oh well, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, Brian. I'm thirsty. I may run in the house and get a drink, but I'm afraid if I walk away from this thing, I'll come back and it'll say, MMU needs attention. So I'm going to wait until I get to 6 millimeters. We're at 5.6 right now. Come on. Yeah, there we go. A little better. Not really. Now it's not focusing. What? Why do you not know what to focus on? All right, right there. It likes it. Right there. I'll leave it alone. Oops. I guess I better not lean against that. That's got all the spool holders on it. Okay. Sweet. Getting to the top of the shoe. So I'm thinking about how do you constrain that? Well, I don't want these tubes flopping all over the place, but I don't want them secured tightly either. I'll have to come up with a design. I measure every spool that I have and every hole diameter and every width, build a table, unless you guys know of somebody that has already done that. I've not printed a master spool yet. But I was thinking about making my little spools that I printed kind of making them master spool compatible. It wouldn't be that hard. And I did do a worst case purge block. That was one of the first prints that I did. And I only had a little bit of fail. It was the same white filament and it didn't feed for like a layer. But then it fed and picked up and continued on with the model. And then it quit feeding towards the end. But it still printed. It's printed all the other filaments because I had 5 filaments in there and it worked. That's why I was so dismayed. Yeah. That's why I was dismayed when it quit working because it's like, I already got a successful print. You should keep on printing. Master Spool seems like it would have to print 20 master spools and then they would all be almost empty, so I'd have to print more master spools. Not sure how that's saving anything. Well, so one thing, if I get this working, one of the things that I wanted this MMU for was the auto deplete function, where it will just grab a filament, print with it, run it out of the spool, and when it detects that it's out, it'll go to the next filament, and so on and so forth. So that for some of the things that I print, like these leg pocket things, these little pieces, I don't care what color they are because they're structural. So they could be multicolors or whatever is left over of spools, and they work fine. And Brian's back. And here in Canada, the price difference for refills is really cheaper and fairly show the cost of killer. Yeah, I know, and that's the other thing is the design of the master spool that I've seen. Man, it looks like it takes a lot of plastic. Those things look like they weigh what, a third of a kilo ish, maybe a little less. But then these the IC3D spools that I've been getting are pretty dang beefy. But I mean, the spools don't have to be that that tough. So I could make my little spool one of the master spools if I just put in some wavy grooves for zip ties, so you could re-zip tie it. But really, who is going to re-zip tie their master spool? You put it on a spool, you run it till it runs out, and then you reuse your spool. Yeah, the cardboard spools for protopasta are great. I wish half a spool to print a master spool. Protopastas, I wish that they would sell 1 kilogram rolls. So at least their spools, it's a kilogram of 500 grams. What are they? Yeah, 500 gram rolls. So it's the weight of the filament. Yeah, bad winding on some brands. Although, man, Prusa's winding system, that is really, really sexy. That is some nice winding. This white spool is Prusa. It's old filamentum. What's left of this silver spool, you can see it there. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's down to the very end, but it's a beautiful winding job. Where if you look at that versus this Alchemint, as you can see right there, kind of, it's not bad, but it's not great. They're not really, well wound. Prusa's windings that is OCD. Yeah, yeah. So, Brian, if you're watching Fun King 3D, that FK1 is a candidate for a 1.2 millimeter nozzle and some sort of filament hopper make goo that you can shoot out a squirty hole. That's what you need. Okay, we're at 6.6. What did I say we had to go to? Was that it? Yep, it is, because it's red now and it did not do a purge. All right, I'm going to go run in and get something to drink, and I will be right back, so don't go anywhere. I'm thirsty. All this talking. thirsty. Wife drank all the rum though, so. It's just a Pepsi. All right, while I'm sitting here with my teeth in my mouth, let's break out the calipers and a notepad. I'm going to start measuring some spools. And gather some data for building a new set of spool holders. Oops, chat went away. Yeah, protopasta is too expensive for everyday use, and too expensive for prototyping. It is nice filament. I mean, it prints beautifully. Some of the best prints I've ever had have come off of protopasta filament, and you don't notice the inconsistent extrusions like they were having, say, in the MK3 had this inconsistent extrusion layer thing going on. And I printed some protopasta, did a full-size filament, and it's one of the best prints. The layers are super even. I'm going to show you some prints that I've done that are not protopasta. Do I have a protopasta right now? Did I do this one on the? No, this was done on the Cetus with Inland, which the Cetus slicer and stuff does a really good job. But let's see that. So that's the Death Star top, and it's not a bad print, but you can see a few little start and stop points, and up at the top you can see that there's just some inconsistencies in the, the layer's got that little wobbly, vibraty look to it. So with the protopasta, I think it just prints really nice. I have had some jams, but I found that putting an oiler, and my oiler, this is my oiler, found that putting an oiler on the filament, so basically it's one of these little clamps with a little rolled up paper towel, and some drops of 30-year-old 3-in-1 oil. And after you get done printing a roll of protopasta, that's how much dirt you have. After printing, let's see, I don't have one of them. So I bought 6 rolls of IC3D, which it's good filament. I mean, I like it. It works really well. But I bought the gray, and there's a lot of black that comes off. I think I threw it away. I had a wiper on it, not for oiling, but just for picking up whatever the residue is on the surface of that filament. It doesn't gum up the extruder, the nozzle or anything, but man, vintage oil. I bought some new oil at Harbor Freight today, so hopefully they haven't changed the formula and it still works the same. But that IC3D gray filament, man, it leaves a residue on the rag. I don't know if it's dust from manufacturing or I assume that they use a water bath to cool their filament. Maybe it's picking up something from that. And that's the funny thing. You know, all these filament manufacturers I've seen use a water bath to cool their filament. Protopasta does not. It's a long V-channel aluminum that with air blowers on it, so it cools, I assume, slower, not as quick a transition, something. Anyway, I like Protopasta. But you're right, it is expensive. All right, let's see what we got. Let's measure a Prusa, or filamentum. Now, I don't know. Do you think Prusa changed their ID of their rolls? So we need the ID, the OD, and the width. So we got Prusa, we got IC3D, we got Protopasta, we got Alchemint, have a roll of Atomic, that's some Gizmo Dorks. Argos, wow. I forgot who this was. This is No Name. Look at the size of the hole in there. Ugh. Huge. No Name Brown. Argos. That yellow. Oh, Hatchbox. Hatchbox and Cassius Tech. Cassius Tech. Atomic. Inland. Ooh. Hey, we made it through all the red and we're back to white. Those are gloves. I see. Sweet. All right, let's start measuring. So ID, Hatchbox, is 55. OD is 200. And then width. Let's call it 68. All right. Who's next? Atomic. Have Atomic Pearl Swirl around here somewhere. Oh, that's the Emerald Pearl Swirl. Oh, there it is. All right. So far, so good. So Atomic, they've got a beefy beefy spool too. So they're like 72 and a half, 73 we'll call it, width. Got an odd offset, so it's flat on one side and recessed on the other side. Isn't that weird? And their diameter is 51 and a half. Yeah, so these guys, every spool's different, aren't they? 204 on the diameter. Cruise or filamento, whatever we want to call it. These are wide spools. They're, let's call them 88 and a half. Two. And it's tiny hole. Let's call it 50. 50 and a little bit. Grab an IC3D one. There's a bunch of spools laying around. Isn't that funny? IC3D spools have that same recess as the atomic. Bet you they measure exactly the same. Yep, 204. Yeah. 73 by 52, 1.5. Okay. And then of course I have the most horrible ones. Look at these. This is M3D's spool. Can't even get 2 fingers in there. Little teeny, and look how tight that's wound inside. I mean, I don't think I can even get this off of here. It's wound so tight. Not without breaking it. I have no idea where the end is. Yeah. Awesome. Proto pasta. Proto pasta is 203 on the OD. M3D Micro looks cool on the shelf, yeah. Yeah. Like you're going to break it out once a year and print something with it? 52, ID. Just for old time's sake. And there, call it 54 on the width. Alchemist is 66 and a half on the width. Yeah, heat creep was its enemy. And that's why I sold the Pro almost as soon as I got it. It's got a 200 on the diameter. Yeah, because they were using the same hot end. Yeah, it was a cool design hot end. I will give them that. I mean, having that little ceramic heater thing at the end, it was a stainless steel, so it was a hardened nozzle. That was cool. But they tried to super microsize everything on the printer, and they should have just, make the head. I understand why they didn't, because they couldn't make the head bigger because it was already running into the frame. But yeah, a lot of bad design decisions in that one. Yeah, and so slow. I had my micro printing at 40 millimeters a second, but I was using that alternate firmware. Oh, that sounds like it rained or something. Looks like it's dragging on the print. Oh, I see. It's the print curling. And there's no Z-hop. Correct. Okay. Well, that may... Oh, yeah. Micro was your second printer? Holy mackerel. What did you have for your first printer? Yeah, it was my first printer because I was afraid of trying to build a kit. And I'm glad I got the Prusa as a kit. Okay, no name. No name has a big hole in it. This must be similar to that other. I don't know. Oh, a Prusa Mendel style? Yeah. My friend James had a Prusa Mendel. I think it was a Mendel. It's like it got the A-frame, threaded rod kind of thing. It printed stuff, but boy, I was not impressed. 73, holy cow, 73 millimeters for a hole in the middle of this thing. They have inlet here. Okay. What? Oh yeah, people said the kit made the hot end by hand. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, I think James still has his crazy printer from Mendel, but he's upgraded and built several other ones since then. I don't think I want to build a hot end from scratch. I like the E3Ds. They're pretty nice. Even the clones are not too bad, but I still like supporting E3Ds. Yeah, there's some curl on that. Wow. Well, it's doing a Z hop. It's but 1 mil. That's a 1 millimeter Z hop, I think, but it's still barely clear. An induction coil to heat it. Yeah. Yeah, that was back before little cartridge thermistors and stuff. Let's see what my printer says. General. Oh, it's only using a 0.6. Normally I bump the Z hop. Yeah, too many printers later. Yeah, I mean, if Prusa comes out with a slightly larger printer, and it doesn't have to be a monster 500 by 500, it needs to be like a, let's say a 350 by 300 by 250 or something like that. I don't really need that much more Z height, but a longer or wider bed in either X or Y would be beneficial for a lot of things. I printed some crab pot tunnels, the little place where the crabs go in to get into the crab pot, for my dad, and I had to make them out of 4 pieces because I couldn't print large enough. And they don't have to be that tall, they just have to be a wide area. So yeah, a bigger printer would have helped for that. Some of the train models that I've done, I would like to have bigger. This costume piece that I did for my son for his Halloween costume, a little bit, I mean, I could have printed it laying flat on the bed and just sliced it down the middle and put it together had I had just a 300 by 300 bed. As it was, I had to split it in half and then stand it up to print it. And I probably should have split it at a 45 or a 30-degree angle and printed it and used supports under the whole thing, and it probably wouldn't have knocked it loose, and then it would just have 2 pieces to glue together. But oh well, I didn't, and it'll work. So I suppose I've got to change the Z height in every single one of the extruders. Yep. Okay. They have got to work on that. It needs to be like a now what I do? How can I unlock? I did something screwball. Okay. Okay. I got it. I got it. Don't panic. It's okay, guys. All right. So, yeah, if you want to change your Z hop in the new Prusa, ah, ah, the Slick 3R. What the heck? Okay. Get off. Get off my screen. Now I've got an NVIDIA display. Okay, there we go. All right. CR10S4, 100Z for all. Yeah, exactly. You want a wide bed to print bigger things, and that's what I said. Is you need something that will at least print an American-sized license plate frame, or a European license plate frame, or whatever. Because then you could make custom license plate frames, Pokemon, or Ninja Turtles, or multicolored Ninja Turtles. All right, so yeah, when you change something in Slick 3R, if you want to change your Z hop from a 0.6 to a 1.0, you've got to go into each individual extruder and put the new value in. I don't like that. I like Cura where you have the option to pick it and say this is a new global value and all extruders will use this. I mean, it's cool that you can set an individual Z hop, but why would you? I can't picture ever needing that feature. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on my adventure. You have a good night. I'll probably shut the stream down unless people just demand to see another 6 hours and 41 minutes of Commander Phil Ament printing. We'll see you later. I may stop the stream and go do some CAD work on my numbers for my spool holder. Yeah. Well, if they come out with heads, I think it will be a good night for them. See you later, Mike. Oh, darn it! I forgot to show Mike. If you're still there. M3D Micro Benchy. Oh, that's hideous. Absolutely hideous. Yep, absolutely hideous. Dropping stuff on the floor. Let me turn the heater down. There. Whew. It's getting way too warm in here. Piece of plywood. So yeah, I lowered my whole shelf down when I moved this in here because I couldn't see the buttons and the lights on the top of the MMU. It's still a little high. Better than it was. But so far, it's awesome. Working. Okay, so there's two of you watching. Or maybe it's me watching, or I don't know. Who's that? Who all's in here? Who all is in here? Can I see participants? Oh, it was just me and Mike. Okay. Well, if Mike's gone, I'm gonna leave the print run, but I'm gonna sign off. It's been going for 3 hours and 40 minutes, and that's way too long for anybody to listen to me blather on about anything. But glad all of you joined live, and if any of you watch this later on, thanks for coming, and I'll keep you up to date with more on my MMU2 adventures. And if I find out something that makes it easier for new people to get it set up, get it tuned, and get it working, I will pass that along, and maybe I'll actually not put it in a stream, but we'll make a little video about it and do a little more concise thing without so many plugs. So, talk to you guys all later. Thanks.